back to you today with a brand new banger of a tool. This is probably one of the best things we've ever created. It is so good that I can barely contain myself as I sit here, and I'm excited to show it to you. We couldn't have finished this at a better time. I know that a lot of you guys have seen the Chart Fanatics video with Fabio Valentini. That's one of the greatest trading videos ever created. Guys at Chart Fanatics are doing an incredible job, and they're really bringing some great information. And this is something that we've had in the works for a while now, and the timing couldn't be better for us to finally get this thing finished and released, because it aligns very well with what you will learn from Mr. Valentini. So the name of this tool is Scalpers Hideout StreetSweeper, and it is a combination of 5 different trading modalities. We've pulled the best and easiest to understand parts out of each, and we've combined them all together in a clean and simple interface. This one tool is literally the only thing that you need to add to your charts to gain an incredible read on the market. So without further ado, let's get into the workings of this great tool. All right, so as I said, StreetSweeper combines 5 different distinct trading modalities into one indicator. We are taking the best parts of price action, order flow, volume analysis, major market structure, and liquidity alignment into account when we do our calculations in this indicator. And the very first thing we'll take a look at here is the price action part of this. So if you notice these gold and orange stars that you see above the swing highs and lows, we have a swing calculation in here it comes default set to try to just grab the major more of the external swings rather than all of the little internal swings that you get within price action. You can, of course, adjust this to your liking, but we use this mostly as an indicator that is meant to identify liquidity sweeps, liquidity grabs, failed breakdowns, swing failures, and other types of trades like that. That's not all it does. This is a full trading system that can trade any market. And it's one of the few types of trading systems where you can survive daily regime changes and your strategy is not going to fall apart. So from those swing highs and lows that I just showed you there, you will notice the lines that protrude from them and extend to the right. Those lines will continue until they are broken. And you will notice that when they are broken, you will get a candle that is colored with either a green or a red candle. That will identify to you that that swing has just been broken. At that point, you can be zooming in and tuning into price action around that particular swing break. A lot of times, you can go short or long at the base of that candle. If the price action gives it to you, it's also useful when when we're trading our failed breakdowns, maybe swings that could have happened, at prior day levels, prior day low that are way back in the chart. You will get that extension of that line, and you will see that candle break that swing at that time, and it will clue you into things that may be able to broaden your perspective from the current price action to focus in more on events that have happened in the past that have set up at the present time. I'm going to skip over the order flow portion of this for the meantime, and we'll save that to the end because that is the best part of this, and I want to spend a little bit more time on that. Another aspect, another trading modality that this tool covers is volume analysis. Built into StreetSweeper is a unique volume profile that sits along the right edge of your chart, and it is a composite volume profile. And it shows you the point of control, the value area high, the value area low, and it is going to show you what it's going to be operating off of visible range. So there's not a lot of settings in there. We tried to make this as simple as possible. And so whatever is on your chart is going to be showing in that volume profile. We have created a really unique feature. As far as I know, nobody has ever quite done it like this before. But if you notice in the top right corner of the screen, you have a lock and unlock button, and that allows you to pan and zoom your screen to the proper amount of time that you want to be analyzing with your volume profile. And then you can lock that volume profile in place, and then you can zoom back in on your chart, and that volume profile will be locked on the amount of data that you had in the screen at the time that you locked it. The next portion of this that we're going to look at is the major market structure portion. We have combined all of the important levels that you need to trade these instruments, these futures instruments, things like all of your prior day levels. We have prior day open, prior day close, prior day high, prior day low. We have 2 days back, 3 days back, 4 days back, 5 days back. We have weekly, we have monthly. We've got session levels, Asia session, London session. We have the overnight levels. All of these things are very important, and each different futures instrument kind of respects the ones that it wants to respect. For ES, which is I have found a love for ES over the last 6 months or so. I used to be solely an NQ trader, but once I started trading levels, I realized that ES is so reliable with its levels that I could not overlook it anymore. So when we're looking for failed breakdowns and we're looking for traps below these swings that happen at these major market levels, they are there to guide us, and we can get very reliable trades when we're using these levels. So you always know where these levels are on your screen, and you will be trading them, and you'll be watching order flow around these levels, and it becomes a very powerful trading style. The next thing you'll see on your screen here are imbalance zones that we have drawn out here. And what are imbalance zones? They're known as fair value gaps. They are known as, um, if you really look into what they are, many times they are holes in the volume profile, but they are spaces where price has moved through very quickly. And so we don't use them necessarily in the way that many others use fair value gaps. I don't always use them as a place where price pulls back to. I tend to look at them as momentum triggers. They're momentum signals to me. They are part of my entry model, and they help me to see on a smaller time frame than what I'm looking at with my bars. They help me to see the momentum. So these imbalances are coded as a multi-time frame portion of this indicator. So I like to run this indicator on the 5-minute time frame because it cleans up some of the noise. My swings are kind of where I want them to be. And I run my imbalances anywhere from a 1-minute time frame to a 30-second time frame. So it gets me better entries because I can still continue to use a larger bar size, but I can be looking at these little momentum pushes that are happening on a 1-minute time frame. So that is how I use those. They're unobtrusive on the chart. We've got them, faded out a little bit so they're not taking over, but you can see when they happen, and it's just a beautiful way to look at the chart. All right, so that brings us to the final portion of this indicator, which is going to be a combination of items number two and number five, which is order flow and liquidity alignment. This is the most powerful part of this indicator, although none of these things are enough on their own, but together they make a beautiful system. They tell the story of price action. They tell the story of what the market is delivering to you today. So what you're looking at here, as far as the order flow portion of this, is the bubbles that you see on the chart. Those bubbles represent block orders. They show you at a certain price over a certain window of time whenever you set a threshold for the amount of contracts traded at one price and in a very small amount of time. You are seeing the market aggression, you are seeing the market absorption, you are literally looking at the footprints of institutional trading. I could not trade today without this because what I'm going to show you right now is going to change your mind about how you read the market. Now, everybody has probably looked at footprint charts before, and when you hear the term order flow, there's a lot of different tools that people use when they're trading order flow. And one of the problems with footprint charts is that in order to read a footprint chart, you have to be zoomed way into the chart to even see those numbers inside of that bar so that you can tell when there's absorption, so that you can tell when there is aggression in a bullish sense and there's imbalances. And you have to be zoomed way in. And simplifying these things to the bubbles that you see, those you can trade this on a bar chart. You can feel the price action in terms of your bars and your wicks and everything else that we've went over today. But you can also see the gist of what is happening inside of those footprint charts in our bars. And you know these these particular types of volume and block order bubbles, they're not brand new. Most of the good trading platforms offer them in some way or another. They might not be exactly like ours, um, but there's something that they're generally misunderstood, because the first time that you put them up, when you look at them, you would assume that when you see a green bubble, that means that there's buyers entering the market. They're large institutional buyers, and that you should be going long. And when you see a red bubble, there's a big batch of sell orders there and you should be going short. But this couldn't be further from the truth. When you learn to read these bubbles and you get a feel for how you actually use them, it's going to open up a whole new world for you as far as reading price action. And so I'm going to get into this a little bit here and explain to you how these are intended to be read. So let's take a look down here at the bottom left corner of our chart. You will see those two red bubbles down there at the very bottom, right next to that low swing and right up against that imbalance zone that is printed there. Um, those are heavy sell orders, but notice something. Price is not going down. These bubbles need to be looked at in terms of their relation to price action. You're watching what price does when it's giving you the information that there is big sellers down there. And that in order flow terms is called absorption. There is somebody down there absorbing all of those sell orders, and those are a great reversal signal. In fact, I need to see that absorption for me to enter a trade. So as price came down and it ran into that imbalance, and it started to break that prior candles swing from before it, it created those bubbles, which were heavy selling, and price just couldn't move any further down from there. And so what happened? Price turned around and went upwards in the other direction. So it's really important to understand that these bubbles are showing bid ask orders. These are showing people that are hitting the bid and the ask. They're clicking the buy market and sell market button. That's what's creating these bubbles. They are not showing us level two data, which is the resting orders, the limit orders resting in the market. So when you see this absorption, you see these heavy sellers coming in, and you're watching price action not move down, you're seeing the resting orders that are on the book that you would see with one of those other tools, that are kind of useless on their own because they're constantly being spoofed. You'll get all kinds of information that is not correct when you're watching some of these order book tools. But what you can get as far as watching price action in combination with these market orders is you can tell where the real level two orders sit. And that is what you're seeing right here when you're seeing absorption. All right, so as we continue to look at this same scenario here, here is where it starts to get interesting. All of those heavy sellers right there, they all have stop losses. Where do you think their stop losses are? Well, on ES, I have found that most people are putting their stops around 2 to 3 points above their order. So you will have all of these sellers will have their stop losses placed right here. And when price fails to go lower on all that sell volume and it turns around and starts going upwards, we start hitting their stops and we start to squeeze upwards. And that's where you get the best move. One of the coolest things that you can do when you're trading like this is to put up your time and sales window, as you can see on the far right side of my screen. Now, we don't know where people put their stops. People's stop loss orders do not show up on the order book when you're looking at products like Bookmap or any other order book type software. But we do see them come through on the time and sales when they're hit. And when we get some absorption like this and price starts to move up through the area that we anticipate those sellers stops being, we see a flash of bright green, as you see in this static picture of the time and sales window that I have right now. Now, of course, you have to set up your time and sales window properly, and if you end up coming over to Scalpers Hideout, we can show you how to do that. But that is a very cool thing. It's just we you think that this is what is going on, and as price rises above that absorption level, you see that flash of orders that are getting sold. Now, if you think about it, those are sell orders. So people's stop losses would be buy orders. And that is why you see that flash of green. And when those hit, the squeeze has been begun and you can get in with more confidence. Now let's take a look at the rest of this chart and look at some of the other places where we see this absorption. And then let's compare it to what it looks like when these bubbles are showing us aggression. Okay, so as you see in this next area right here, we had a big bubble of buyers that failed to push price further upwards. Uh, they won temporarily, and the sellers won temporarily. We went down. They came up to take a second stab at it, and they could not push past that one more time, which ultimately caused a down move. So there's another example of absorption happening. It wasn't immediate that time. It took a retest of the area, but nonetheless, it did not pass through that green bubble and continued long. Now, over in this next area here, this is a trade that I took. Uh, I started this video last night, and this was yesterday's data. So I took this after market open, but I'll give you a kind of play-by-play of what I was reading here during that time. Okay, so we came into this area of kind of consolidation here, and we consolidated there for a while, and I started to see this sell pressure pushing down a bunch of smaller bubbles, some medium-sized bubbles. We're in a range, and I'm kind of watching the edges of this range, and we're outside the value area here, and we got a nice long run up to the point of control if it wants to go there. We have also just swept the 2-day back low, so we've got a level sweep here. We're outside the value area, and I'm seeing that these sellers are getting trapped at the bottom of these wicks, and every time it pushes up, it kind of you get more sellers come in. They're trying to push this down. They're probably looking for the deeper edge of this range that we had from earlier, where the last absorption bubble was, but they couldn't even get it down there. And as we came up to the top of this range, I just saw all of those sellers starting to get trapped. When we dropped this imbalance right here, and then right after that, we got some buyers stepping in. I jumped in this trade long. And as you see, we didn't have too much of a problem there running up. We dropped a second imbalance there. So I knew that we had some momentum behind us. And then as we got up to this big green bubble there, we had some serious buyer aggression. I do see some sellers stepping in there with the red bubble, which happened first, actually. You can see the green bubbles are on top of that bigger red bubble. So we did run into a little bit of resistance there, some sellers. But when I saw the buyer aggression, I still stayed in that trade. And I stayed in that trade all the way up until that next green bubble where I saw us starting to get absorbed. I figured it was time for a little pullback, so I took my profit at that point. And as we made that pullback, we encountered some more absorption with another imbalance that had dropped. And as it overcame that selling pressure there, we got another uh, tranche of buyers step in. And that's where I jumped in. I immediately saw another imbalance dropped, and I ran that all the way up to the top. So that's kind of the order flow of things. Those are the kind of things you'll look at as you're trading, and keep in mind you'll have a price line running, and you'll see when we're above or below these buyers and sellers, and you'll be, after a while, you will get used to knowing where everybody's stops are and where it's going to get squeezed. And so that is my trade for yesterday. It was the move of the day, and I was able to catch it with StreetSweeper. All right, so I'm going to cut this video short here. I think you get the point. I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited about sharing it with everybody. And, for NinjaTrader, it's a great little system. And come on over to scalpershideout.com. You can go ahead and sign up for our lifetime license. You're going to get this, and you're going to get everything else that we made in the past, all within your lifetime license. Every single thing that we've ever produced is yours. And so it's a great deal. The price for your lifetime license is about half of what much lesser tools cost. So come on over, and there's also a subscription option if you like. Lifetime license is definitely the best deal. I'm going to go ahead and activate a coupon code of StreetSweeper20. I'm going to give you 20% off the lifetime license. We'll run that for a week or two as we launch this, just to give the early adopters a little bit of a discount. But if you've been on the fence, it's a great time to come over and join our crew. If you get the lifetime license, you will be in our Discord as well. You'll have access to me for questions or for anything that you want. A bunch of cool people in there. It's a private, closed Discord, so there's no nonsense. And we hope to see you in there. Talk to you soon.